I paired historical romance and paranormal romance this time around because, I don't know, I wanted to. Okay, I know that everyone is waiting eagerly to hear what I thought of Outlander, and I know it took me a while to finish it, but guys, this thing is 600 pages long, so give me a break. And, this was really good historical fiction. I especially appreciated the fact that when someone got wounded, they stayed wounded for a while, and the recovery process was shown for how painful and arduous it really is. I really hate most books where they get injured and the next day it's like it didn't even happen. So I appreciated that part a lot. I'm not typically a huge historical fiction fan, maybe because I'm not a person who dreams about what it would be like to live in eras past, and that might be because I have a medical condition that if I lived more than, say, 50 years ago or so, I'd be looking at a very painful, shortened life, and I also like indoor plumbing. Anyways, so I thought this was good. I'm not head over heels for it like I know a lot of people are. I can see why you are, and I am glad I read the book, but I don't feel any urge to pick it up and read it over and over again or anything like a lot of people seem to do. Alright, so I continued on in the Brothers Sinister series with book 4, The Suffragette Scandal by Courtney Milan. This is fast becoming one of my favorite romance series. It deals with characters and subjects not often dealt with in historical romances. The main character in this runs an early suffragette newspaper, and it's a really interesting, rich topic in which to place characters and see what happens. The male lead subplot is faintly ridiculous, as he's the long-lost noble son who's been presumed dead, yada yada yada, but who cares, the whole thing is about suffragettes, and I loved it. Okay, and then I read the novella that comes after book 4, which is Talk Sweetly to Me, and this one is also really good. It features a multiracial couple, which I also have never really encountered in a Regency romance novel, and the main female character loves math and astronomy, and there's a lot of math and physics humor in this. I do love Courtney Milan. She writes romance after my own heart. I started a new paranormal series. Look at me branching out. It paid off. This was A Hidden Fire by Elizabeth Hunter, book 1 in her Elemental Mystery series. This is about Dr. Giovanni Vecchio, who comes to research at the university library where Beatrice is a librarian, and he only shows up at night, so extrapolate. Turns out Beatrice also has a backstory that is relevant as well. I know that's a pretty horrible summary, but it's good. You should read it. I just got the second book from the library, and I can't wait to read it. Alright, continuing on in one of my favorite paranormal romance series, the Side-Changing series by Nalini Singh, I read Shields of Winter, book 13. We're solidly back into Psi territory in this part of the series, exploring the Psi elite warrior unit, the Arrows, and also the mysterious E designation, which stands for empathy. These are Psi whose specialty is feelings, sort of, which is strange for the Psi because they're typically fairly stoic. Anyway, it was a good storyline, not the strongest of the series, but I love the series so much. So read the series if you haven't read the series. Then I read number 14, Shards of Hope, which continues on in our exploration of the Arrows and is also the most recent book released. So you're about to get a break on hearing me swoon over this series until the next book comes out next year. You're welcome. I just can't get over how Nalini Singh, after 14 books, can pull out another relationship, unlike the past gazillion relationships she's talked about. Aiden and Zara are wonderful, and their dynamic is wonderful, and his sensitivity and her kick-assness is wonderful. Be still my heart, I love the series. Speaking of paranormal romance series I love, let's talk about Mercy Thompson. I read book 6, River Marked by Patricia Briggs. This one is about a road trip, specifically a honeymoon that ends up being more of a working vacation. There's evil shape-shifting otters and a river monster. It's just a lovely little honeymoon story with a lot of blood and guts thrown in. It's a nice addition to the series. I also continued on in the Elder Races series by Thea Harrison with book 8, Midnight's Kiss, which boasts one of the worst covers known to humankind. What the hell? This cover is horrible. But the story is about Julian, who is the king of the night kind, and Melisande, who is the light fae princess. She gets kidnapped, he comes to rescue her, she ends up rescuing him, and it was decent. Solid addition to the series. Our antagonist, Justine, was meh, but I like Julian and Melisande, so not bad. I read a collection of short stories by Sherilyn Kenyon called In Other Worlds. I actually liked the first short story in this, which isn't a huge surprise as I like her Sci-Fi League series, and this is kind of in that same family. The last two stories though, no, not good. In spite of that, I went on to read another Sherilyn Kenyon book, this one book 4 in her Dark Hunter series, Kiss of the Night. This one has an interesting premise. He's a Viking warrior who you entirely forget as soon as you can't see him anymore, which naturally makes life very lonely for the poor man. The execution of that pretty promising plot was a bit, well, eye-rolly is the only way I can put it. But still, I enjoyed the premise enough, and I could kind of ignore the eye-rolly bits. Then I went on to book 5 of the Dark Hunter series, which is also book 1 of the Werehunter series, whatever that means. The main character's name in this is Bride, like wedding bride, but I'm betting it's supposed to be said Bride, maybe? And the guy in this is a werewolf. Anyway, this book had an excessive use of adjectives and exclamation points, which is no bueno. It was sort of cute, but lay off the adjectives and excessive punctuation. What's the weirdest name for a main character in a book you've read?